Hello everyone. So this is a tutorial or a small video where we're going to go over cubing notation. Cubing notation is pretty much what you'll see when the moves of an algorithm are written down or online, or when you actually see an algorithm or a move set written down. They're going to use certain letters, and they're going to have certain values and whatnot, and they're going to all tell you how to move the cube. And so I'm going to explain to you how to read that and how to use that notation when you're cubing. I kind of forgot to go over this in our beginner's tutorial, and I apologize for that. We'll just make this a separate tutorial. So just like we went over the pieces of the cube, edges, corners, centers, just like we went over that in our beginner's tutorial for solving the cube, we want to go over now the layers. And what I mean is, so you have your right layer that's held with your right hand. You have your left layer that's held with your left hand. You have your U layer or upper. You have the D or down. And then you have B, which is for back, but it's gonna look like the front to you, but this is back to me. And then F, which is our front layer. And there's only two ways to move them. You can either move them clockwise or counterclockwise. So, and anytime if you're curious or wondering, am I doing this correctly, you turn that layer towards you, and then you'll know exactly if you're turning it clockwise or counterclockwise. So first we'll start with R. Right hand, R, makes sense. So when you do an R move, any letter that is just the letter with no extra marks or notation with it means a clockwise rotation. If it has a small apostrophe afterwards, then it's going to mean it's prime or counterclockwise. Sorry, I want to make sure I said that just right. So if it is just a letter, say it just says R, that means you're going to take this right layer and you're going to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise, just like that. That's an R move. So if you had R prime, R apostrophe, you're going to take that right layer, and again, if you're wondering, am I doing this clockwise or counterclockwise, look at it straight on, and if you see, now we're going to rotate counterclockwise for R prime. So this is the same for all of these, but there's a few places where it can get kind of tricky. So when you're doing R, again, you're going to go, this is what it's going to look like. You're going to take your right hand, you're going to rotate it forward. Where this kind of gets tricky is now we're going to go to L, or left. And L, though, however, you do not rotate forward when you do an L move. Because again, if we want to check this, let's look at our left side, and rotating it forward would actually be counterclockwise. So forward, when you're holding it, would be an L prime. So moving it clockwise, just an L move, would be actually towards you. So this is where cubing notation, you really have to understand it, at least, because again, you might assume that an L move is forward, an R move is forward. It makes sense. It does. It makes sense to think that way, but that's just not the way it works. So we'll go over this more. So again, L away from you is prime, towards you is L, where R away from you is R, and towards you is prime. And so that's going to be kind of the case with everything. So let's look at everything opposite. So let's look at U. So we're looking at the top layer. When we take our right hand, our right index finger, and we flick that top layer, now that's moving clockwise. So that would be a U move. Now taking our left index finger and doing that same move but in reverse. So now we're moving counterclockwise. So that would be a U prime. Okay, so now we've gone through R, L, and U. Now we're going to do D. We'll do the downside. And you know, you could think they did upper. You might think why wouldn't they call it lower? But you have an L already, so I think that's why they chose D for down. Um, I'm sure they could have chosen a lot of things, but that's just my 2 cents. So again, this is one where it gets kind of confusing because so you might think that rotating. Again, doing the down layer, the D layer, taking your right ring finger and flicking it, you might think, oh, well, I just rotated it clockwise. You did not. What you have to do to really understand this is you have to be looking straight at that layer, just like we did with every other one. If you're wondering, turn the layer towards you, straight at you, and look at it and see, am I turning it clockwise or counterclockwise? And so if we take that same rotation, which is going like this, that's counterclockwise. So what we thought would be a D move or a clockwise move is actually going anti-clockwise or counterclockwise. So that's where, again, the opposite sides are going to always be opposite in notation. So that's just something to keep track of. So this is actually flicking with your right finger on down is actually a D prime, where flicking with your left ring finger is going to be a D move. So again, this is where R and L are kind of backwards, U and D are going to be backwards, and F and B are going to be the same way. So I hope that made sense so far. We're going to go through F and B still, but I hope that did make sense. Like I said, so if you're ever wondering, then my biggest piece of advice is just turn that layer directly towards you and look. I mean, it'll obviously take you a moment and it'll slow down if you're trying to solve or whatever, but it's important if you're trying to do it correctly. So this is just about learning the fundamentals and getting you to understand the notation. So if you do need to look up an algorithm online, or if you're trying to write something down or something, or maybe someone's written something for you, hopefully then this will help you understand that. That's the whole goal. Okay, so we're on F now, front layer or face. So, excuse me. So now this one's very straightforward because this one's always facing you. So this one is exactly as you would think. If we take our right index finger, there we go, and rotate down, we're going to make a clockwise rotation. And then if you take that left index finger, and do the opposite move, going now counterclockwise, now we have an F prime. So hopefully you're starting to get the gist of it. Is that, again, clockwise is, you know, U or whatever letter, and then U prime is going to be the counterclockwise. That is the most straightforward part of this. I want you to understand is, you know, the straight letter is clockwise. The letter plus the apostrophe or prime is counterclockwise. Again, and turning it so it's looking at you, that's the other biggest piece of information, because like I said, I've done it even where when I started out, I thought, you know, D prime was D all the time. You know, you'd do an algorithm and I'm like, why is this not turning out right? What's going wrong? And it's because I was reading the notation wrong, and I was executing the notation wrong. So the last one we have is our B back. And again, this one's gonna look very straightforward to you guys because you're gonna be looking straight at me. But for me, again, I have to think of this in reverse. So this, let's see, that's B prime. That's going counterclockwise. So you guys can see it. And to me, I just have to know that my right hand, this is very similar to the D move, is I know when I do a right flick with my ring finger that I'm always doing a D prime. And it's the same thing with B. When I know I'm doing this move, I know I'm doing a B prime. And so then I'm sure you can guess that doing this move, left ring finger, it depends on, you know, how you cube or how you hold, but usually it's that finger. Then that's a B prime. Sorry, B. No, B. Sorry, I did so good so far without making a mistake. Left finger is B. And so again, that's kind of counterintuitive because again, you're looking at the cube and you're thinking it's rotating clockwise, but you guys can see very clearly it's not. So again, if you're ever wondering, turn that layer towards you. Now I can see, oh, that was counterclockwise and this was clockwise. That's one of the best pieces of little tips I can give you. But yeah, I will write this stuff on the screen for you. I'll make sure all the notation's there. But it's pretty straightforward. Like I said, it's R, U, L, D, F, and B. So just each each different side has a letter, and it just is either moving clockwise or counterclockwise. Oh, and here's one last thing I'm going to cover. If it says that letter and then 2, so if it says R2, that means you're going to do 2 90-degree rotations. So like we said in the very beginning, if you had an R move, it would be 1 90-degree clockwise. Oh my gosh, I'm going to screw this all up. Clockwise rotation. So if you get an R2, that is 2, and this is where it actually doesn't matter if it's clockwise or counterclockwise, because if you're rotating forward two rotations or 180 degrees, it ends up the exact same as moving back 180 degrees. So 2 90-degree turns doesn't matter. That's why they usually don't put like R prime 2, because it doesn't matter. Same with like M slices. Oh, this is one I didn't go over. I almost forgot. So there is another part of the cube that we should acknowledge, I guess, and that's this middle layer. They call this the M, and that makes sense for middle. And the way I'm flicking it is M prime. The way this would be M. And so this one is a little bit tricky, because depending on what side you're looking at it from, this could be clockwise and this could be, but there's just a decided way this goes. So again, pulling from the back forward like that, you want to look at it from the left side. Then you'll see it's clearly going counterclockwise, and if you were to push, it's clearly going clockwise. So that's one. It's the only real exception. I mean, we have others. There's your S and your E slices, but I'm gonna kind of hold off on those for now, because I wasn't even gonna go into M slices, honestly. But it's something that will come up, especially if you start to learn like your U perms. Those are something that can use M slices, H perms, Z perms. There's a lot of them, and you technically, I mean, you will want to use S. So S is when you're, sorry if you can't see, but when you do this from the side, you're going to go ahead and pull that center layer from the side. And then E is when you pull the middle, the equator, like that. So again, those I'm just pointing out so now you know. But again, those are more advanced. The S and E moves, you really only use those in more, like once you get more advanced in your solving, and those won't be included in a lot of like notation if you look up algorithms online, you don't see a lot of S and E moves. Those are more, like I said, a little more advanced. Something you should definitely always look into. Like I always say, you don't want to, I never discourage people from learning, but just trying to give you something that's manageable to understand when you're first starting out, because I do understand what that's like. So I think that's it for now. Like I said, we've gone over our layers. Again, the M slice was you just do a little flick with your ring finger. You can do, again, so this is the reason I really thought of this, is because M2 is one of those ones where, so you could do 2 M primes, but no, they're not going to write M prime 2, at least not usually. Some people will, but it's really just an M2, because you could do this way, and you end up with the same result. You end up with white on top. So that's where, again, if you have anything with a 2 afterward, you don't need to worry about which way you're going. You just need to make sure you do a 180-degree rotation. That's what matters. So yeah, I think that's it for our little notation tutorial. Like I said, I'll make sure to put up anything on the screen that I think was important, but I think all of that was pretty straightforward. Someone brought to my attention that I hadn't gone over this, and I was like, I can't believe I forgot that. So hopefully that helps some people. I'm going to continue our first video, or our first real video on the Bridging the Gap series. That's just the first. Like I said, I'm planning out more steps in that series, and more ideas to hopefully help you grow. That was just the initial starting step. That was the first algs to learn and how to implement them into your solves. That was really the basics. So from there, we will definitely expand, and we'll definitely learn all of our algorithms and everything. But that was just the beginning step, and so is this. This is just to get you going, and we'll do more from there. So good luck, everyone. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Like, subscribe, and comment if you want to enter into our giveaway. We have a weekly giveaway, and this week I believe it's going to be the RS3 MV5 standard. I might even do a color mod on it. I'm kind of still torn about that, but that was the plan. So yeah, if you have any ideas too for projects or giveaways or anything or videos, leave that in the comments as well. But like, subscribe, and comment to enter the giveaway, and good luck. See you guys soon.